Pip set out his painting things, poked the playroom fire, and sat down to finish his Christmas cards. "You do them nicely, Pip," said Bets, looking over his shoulder. "I wish I could keep inside the lines like you do." "You're only little yet," said Pip, beginning to paint red berries on his card. "Well, I've had another birthday, and I'm 9 now," said Bets. "I'm getting bigger. You're still 12, Pip, so I'm only 3 years behind you now." "When are the things coming?" asked Pip, looking at the clock. "I told them to come early. It's fun to do our Christmas presents together." Bets went to the window of their big playroom. "Here come Larry and Daisy," she said. "Oh, Pip, isn't it fun to be all together again?" Bets didn't go to boarding school as the others did, and she often felt lonely in term time when her brother Pip was away, and their 3 friends, Larry and Daisy Dakin and Fatty Trotteville. But now it was Christmas holidays and they were all home. Bets felt very happy. She had her brother again, and Christmas was coming, and darling Buster, Fatty's dog, would come to see her every single day. Larry and Daisy came up the stairs to the playroom. "Hello," said Larry. "Finished your cards yet? I've still got 3 to do, and Daisy's got a present to finish. We brought them along." "Good," said Pip, putting his paintbrush into his mouth to give it a nice point. "There's plenty of room at the table. Fatty's not here yet." A loud barking outside sent Bets to the window again. "It's Buster and Fatty," she said. "Oh, good. Fatty looks plumper than ever." In half a minute, Fatty and Buster were in the playroom, Fatty looking very sleek and pleased with himself, and Buster bursting with excitement. He flew at everyone and licked them thoroughly. "Hello, Buster dear," said Bets. "Oh, Fatty, Buster's got thin and you've got fat." "Well, Fatty won't be any thinner after Christmas," said Larry, settling down at the table. "Brought some cards to finish, Fatty?" "I've just about worked down my list." Larry and Daisy were brother and sister. Fatty was an only child, always rather pleased with himself, and Buster was his faithful companion. The 5 and Buster were firm friends. Fatty put down a fat book on the table and a very fine Christmas card, which he had done himself. Bets pounced on it at once. "Fatty, what a beauty! Surely you didn't do this yourself. Gracious, it's as good as any you can find in a shop." "Oh, well," said Fatty, looking pleased. "I'm not bad at art, you know." "I was top again this term, and the art master said—" "Shut up," said Pip, Larry, and Daisy together. Fatty did so love to boast about his cleverness. They wouldn't let him if they could help it. All right, said Fatty, looking injured. "Always biting my head off. I've a good mind not to tell you who the card is for." "For your flattering art master, I suppose," said Pip, painting a holly leaf carefully. Fatty kept silence. Bets looked at him. "Tell me who it's for," she said. "I want to know. I think it's lovely." "Well, as a matter of fact, I meant this card and this book to go to a friend of ours from all of us," said Fatty. "But seeing that only Bets admires the card, I'll just send it from myself." The others looked up. "Who's it for, then?" asked Daisy. She picked it up. "It's jolly good. Are these 5 children meant to be us? And is this Buster?" "Yes," said Fatty. "Can't you guess who the card is for? It's for Inspector Jenks." "Oh, what a good idea," said Bets. "Is the book for him, too?" "What is it?" She picked it up and opened it. It was a book about fishing. She picked it up and opened it. It was a book about fishing. "That's a fine idea, Fatty," said Larry. "The inspector is mad on fishing. He'll be thrilled with the book and the card. Do send them from all of us. They're fine." "I meant to," said Fatty. "We can share the price of the book between us, and we can each write our name on the card. See what I've put inside it." He flicked it open, and the children bent to see what he had printed there, in beautiful, neat letters. Best Christmas wishes from the 5 Findouters and dog. That's fine, said Pip. Golly, we've had some fun, haven't we, being the Findouters? I hope we'll have some more mysteries to solve. We've solved the mystery of the burnt cottage and the mystery of the disappearing cat, said Daisy. I wonder what our next mystery will be. Do you think we shall have a mystery these holes? Shouldn't be surprised, said Fatty. Anyone seen old Clear Orf yet? Clear Orf was the village policeman, Mr. Goon, detested by the children. He, in turn, detested them, especially as twice they had managed to solve problems before he himself had. No one had seen Mr. Goon. Nobody particularly wanted to. He was not an amiable person at all, with his fat red face and bulging frog eyes. We'd better all sign this card, said Fatty, producing a very fine fountain pen. Fatty always had the best of everything, and far too much pocket money. However, he was always willing to share this, so nobody minded. Eldest first, said Fatty, so Larry took the pen. He was 13. He signed his name neatly, Lawrence Dakin. I'm next, said Fatty. I'm 13 next week. You're not 13 until the new year, Pip. He signed his name, Frederick Algernon Trotterville. I bet you never sign your full initials, Fatty, said Pip, taking the pen next. F.A.T. Well, I don't, said Fatty. You wouldn't either, if you had my initials and were fat. It would be just asking for trouble. Pip signed his name, Philip Hilton. Then Daisy signed hers, Margaret Dakin. Now you, little Bets, said Fatty, handing her the pen. Best writing, please. Sticking her tongue well out, Bets signed her full name in rather straggling writing, Elizabeth Hilton, but after it, she wrote, Bets. Just in case he forgets that Elizabeth is me, she explained. He wouldn't, said Fatty. I bet he never forgets a thing. He's very clever. You aren't made an inspector of police unless you've got brains. We're lucky to have him for our friend. They were, but the inspector liked and admired the 5 Findouters too. They had been of great help to him in 2 difficult cases. I hope we can be Findouters again, said Bets. I think we ought to find a better name, said Fatty, putting the cap back on his fountain pen. It's a silly name, I think. The Findouters. Nobody would know that we were first-class detectives. Well, we're not, said Larry. We're not really detectives at all, though we like to think we are. The name we have is just right. We're only children who find out things. Fatty didn't like that. We're more than that, he said, settling down at the table. Didn't we beat old Goon twice? I don't mind telling you I'm going to be a famous detective when I'm grown up. I think I've got just the mind for it. The conceit to think so, you mean, said Pip, grinning. You don't really know much about detectives and the way they work, Fatty. Oh, don't I? Said Fatty, beginning to wrap up the book on fishing together with the Christmas card. That's all you know, see? I've been studying hard. I've been reading spy books and detective books all the term. Well, I bet you were bottom of the form then, said Larry. You can't do that sort of thing and work, too. I can, said Fatty. I was top of the form in everything. I always am. You won't believe my maths marks. I only lost. He's off again, said Pip to Larry. He's like a gramophone record, isn't he? Fatty subsided and glared at Pip. All right, he said. Say what you like, but I bet you don't know how to do invisible writing or get out of a locked room when the key isn't your side. The others stared at him. You don't know how either, said Pip disbelievingly. Well, I do then, said Fatty. Those are 2 of the things I've learnt already, and I could teach you a simple code too, a secret code. This sounded exciting. Bets stared at Fatty with eyes wide. Teach us all those things, she begged. Oh, Fatty, I would so like to do invisible writing. You have to learn the art of disguising yourself too. said Fatty, enjoying the rapt attention of the others. What's disguising? Asked Bets. Oh, dressing yourself up in such a way that people don't know it's you, said Fatty. Putting a wig on and perhaps a mustache or different eyebrows, wearing different clothes. For instance, I could disguise myself quite well as a butcher's boy if I had a striped apron and a knife or something hung down from my belt. If I wore an untidy black wig too, I bet none of you would know me. This was really too exciting for words. All the children loved dressing up and pretending. This business of disguising seemed a glorified dressing up. Are you going to practice disguising yourself next term? Asked Bets. Well, no, not in term time, said Fatty, thinking that his form master would soon see through any disguise. But I thought I might these holes. Oh, Fatty, can we too? Said Daisy. Let's all practice being proper detectives in case another mystery crops up. We could do it much better then. And if another mystery doesn't crop up, we'll have the fun of practicing for it anyway, said Bets. Right, said Fatty. But I think if I am going to teach you all these things, I ought to be the head of the find-outers, not Larry. I know Larry's the oldest, but I think I know more about these things now. There was silence. Larry didn't want to give up being head, though in fairness, he had to admit that Fatty was really the cleverest at spotting things when they had a mystery to solve. Well, what about it? Said Fatty. I shan't give away my secrets if you don't make me head. Let him be head, Larry, said Bets, who admired Fatty tremendously. Head of the next mystery anyway, whatever it is. If he isn't as clever as you at solving it, then we could make you head again. All right, said Larry. I do think Fatty would make a good head, really. But if you get conceited about it, Fatty, we'll sit on you hard. You needn't tell me that, said Fatty with a grin. Righto, I'll be head. Thanks, Larry. That was sporting of you. Now I can teach you some of the things I know. After all, you simply never know when they might come in useful. It might be very, very important to be able to write a letter in invisible ink, said Bets. Oh, Fatty, do teach us something now. But Bets's mother just then put her head in at the playroom. I've got tea ready for you downstairs. Wash your hands and come along, will you? Don't be too long because the scones are nice and hot. 5 hungry children and an equally hungry dog shot off downstairs, forgetting everything for the moment but hot scones, strawberry jam, and cake. But they wouldn't forget for long. Things sounded too exciting. Do come after Christmas as soon as you can, and teach us how to write invisibly and how to get out of locked rooms, begged Bets. I say, I wonder if old Clear Orf knows those things. Course not, said Fatty scornfully. And if Clear Orf tried to disguise himself, it wouldn't be a bit of good. We'd always know his frog's eyes and big fat nose. Bets giggled. She hugged her doll and thought how clever and kind Fatty was. She said so. Oh well, said Fatty, swelling up a little, prepared to boast to his heart's content. But just then, Pip came into the room, and Fatty stopped. Pip didn't take kindly to Fatty's boasting. Fatty had a few words with Pip, and then went. I'll come along after Christmas and give you all some find-outers lessons, he promised. Give my love to Daisy and Larry if you see them today. I've got to go over to my grandmother's for Christmas with my mother and father. Bets told Pip what Fatty had said about spending his money on disguises. He said he would buy wigs and eyebrows and teeth, said Bets. Oh, Pip, do you think he will? What shop sells things like that? I've never seen any. Oh, I suppose they are shops that actors go to, said Pip. They have to buy things like that. Well, we'll see what Fatty gets. We ought to have some fun. When the excitement of Christmas was over, the Christmas trees taken down and replanted in the garden, and the cards sent away to a children's hospital, the children felt rather flat. Fatty apparently was staying at his grandmother's, for they saw nothing of him, and had a postcard saying, "Back soon, Fatty." "I wish he'd come back," said Betts. "Suppose a mystery cropped up. We'd have to be find-outers again, and our chief wouldn't be here." "Well, there isn't any mystery," said Pip. "How do you know?" said Betts. "Old Clear Orf might be trying to solve one we don't know about." "Well, ask him then," said Pip impatiently, for he was trying to read, and Betts kept interrupting him. He didn't really mean Betts to go and ask the policeman, of course, but she couldn't help thinking it was rather a good idea. "Then we should know if there was going to be something for us to solve these holes," thought the little girl. "I'm longing to hunt for clues again, and suspects, and track down things." So the next time she met the policeman, she went up to him. "Mr. Goon, have you got a mystery to solve these holidays?" she asked. The policeman frowned. He wondered if Betts and the others were on the track of something he didn't know about. Else why should Betts want to know if he was solving one? Illustration, "Are you interfering in anything again?" he asked sternly. "Are you interfering in anything again?" he asked sternly. "If you are, you stop it, see? I won't have you children messing about in jobs that properly belong to me, interfering with the law." "We're not interfering or messing about," said Betts, rather alarmed. "Well, you clear Orf," said Mr. Goon. "You've put a spoke in my wheel before now, and I'm not having it again." "What wheel?" said Betts, puzzled. Mr. Goon did one of his snorts and walked off. He couldn't bear any children, but he particularly detested the 5 find-outers and dog. Betts stared after him. "Well, I didn't get much out of him," she thought. "What did he mean about wheels?" It was lovely when Fatty came back again. He brought Buster with him, of course, and the little Scotty went mad with joy when he saw all his friends. "He didn't have too good a time at my grandmother's," said Fatty. "There was an enormous ginger cat there that would keep chasing him, and my grandmother insisted on his having a bath every single day. He was awfully miserable, really. He would have chased the cat, of course, but he was too much of a gentleman to go after a cat belonging to his hostess." "Have you bought any disguises yet?" asked Betts excitedly. "Just waiting for my birthday," said Fatty. "It's tomorrow, as you know. Then, when I've got enough money, I'm going up to London to do a spot of shopping." "By yourself?" said Larry. "You bet," said Fatty. "What grown-up would let me spend my money on disguises? Although we've solved 2 frightfully difficult mysteries, no grown-up would think it was necessary to buy wigs and eyebrows. Now would they? Even though at any moment we might have to solve a 3rd mystery." Put like that, it seemed a really urgent matter to buy disguises of all sorts. Fatty was so very serious about it. Betts felt that the 3rd mystery might be just round the corner. "Fatty, can we try out the disguises when you buy them?" she said. "Of course," said Fatty. "We'll have to practice wearing them. It will be fun." "Have you brought the invisible ink with you this afternoon?" asked Pip. "That's what I want to see." "Can you see invisible ink?" asked Betts. "I shouldn't have thought you could." The others laughed. "Silly. The ink isn't invisible. It's only the writing you do with it that is." "I've got a bottle," said Fatty. "It's very expensive." He took a bottle from his pocket. It was quite small and contained a colorless liquid which, to Betts, looked like water. Fatty took out his notebook and a pen with a clean new nib. He put the bottle on the table and undid the screw top. "Now I'll write a secret letter," he said, "and my writing will be invisible." Betts leaned over him to see. She lost her balance and jerked hard against the table. The bottle of invisible ink was jolted over, rolled to the edge of the table, and neatly emptied its contents on the floor in a small round puddle near Buster. "Woof!" said Buster in surprise and began to lick it up. But the taste was horrid. He stopped and looked up at the alarmed children, his pink tongue hanging out. "Oh, Buster! Buster, you've drunk invisible ink!" cried Bets, almost in tears. "Fatty, will he become invisible?" "No, idiot," said Fatty. "Well, that's the end of the ink. What a clumsy you are, Bets." "I'm terribly, terribly sorry," said poor Bets. "I just sort of slipped." "Oh, Fatty, now we can't write in invisible writing." Daisy mopped up the rest of the ink. All the children were disappointed. Buster still hung out his tongue and had such a disgusted look on his face that Larry fetched him some water to take the nasty taste out of his mouth. "Well, I know one or two more ways of writing invisibly," said Fatty, much to Bets's relief. "Anyone got an orange? Now watch out for a little magic." 2 thrilling lessons. There was a dish of oranges in the room. Bets fetched them. She watched with great interest as Fatty made a hole in one and squeezed the yellow juice into a cup. "There," he said. "Orange or lemon juice makes quite good invisible ink, you know." The others didn't know. They thought Fatty was very clever immediately to think of some more invisible ink when Bets had upset his bottle. He took a clean sheet of paper, dipped his pen in the orange juice, and wrote what looked like a letter. He said out loud what he was writing, and it made the children giggle. "Dear Clear Orf, I suppose you think you will solve the next mystery first. Well, you won't. Your brains want oiling a bit. They creak too much. Hugs and kisses from the 5 find-outers and dog." The children giggled, especially at the last bit. "You are an idiot, Fatty," said Pip. "It's a good thing old Clear Orf won't get the letter." "Oh, we'll send it all right," said Fatty. "But as it's written in invisible ink, he won't be able to read it, poor mutt." There was nothing to be seen on the sheet of notepaper. The orange juice ink was certainly invisible. "But Fatty, how can anyone read invisible writing?" said Daisy. "Easy," said Fatty. "I'll show you how to read this kind. Got an electric iron anywhere?" "Yes," said Pip. "But I don't expect Mother would let us have it. She seems to think that anything she lends us is bound to get broken. Anyway, whatever do you want an iron for?" "Wait and see," said Fatty. "Haven't you got an ordinary flat iron, Pip, if we can't borrow the electric one? There must be one in the kitchen." There was. The cook said Pip might have it. "If you break that, I'll be surprised," she said, and Pip sped upstairs carrying the heavy old iron. "Heat it on the fire," said Fatty. So it was put on the fire and well heated. When Fatty judged that it was warm enough, he took it off the fire, being careful to hold it with an iron holder. "Now watch," he said. And in excitement, they all watched. Fatty ran the iron lightly over the sheet on which he had written his invisible letter. Illustration: Fatty ran the iron lightly over the sheet on which he had written his invisible letter. "There it is! It's all coming up in faint brown letters," cried Bets, thrilled. "Look, my dear Clear Orf." "I suppose you will think," read Pip in delight. "Yes, it's visible now. Golly, that's clever, Fatty. I would never have thought that ordinary orange juice could be used as invisible ink." "It's better to know that than to know about the proper invisible ink," said Larry. "That's expensive, but you only want an orange for this. It's marvelous, Fatty. Let's all write letters." So they all took sheets of notepaper and wrote letters in orange juice ink. They wrote rather cheeky letters to people they didn't like, and squealed with joy when the iron made the writing visible, and they each read what the others had written. "Did you really mean to send old Clear Orf a letter in invisible ink?" asked Daisy, remembering what Fatty had said. "But what's the point if he can't read it?" "Just the fun of the thing," said Fatty. "He'll be so wild to get a letter with no writing on it, and he won't know how to read it. We shan't tell him either." Fatty wrote out his first letter to Clear Orf again, sealed up the apparently blank sheet of paper in an envelope, and printed Clear Orf's name on it. It's rather a silly thing to do, I suppose, but it'll puzzle old Clearorf, said Fatty, blotting the envelope. Well, now I've taught you to write in invisible ink. Simple, isn't it? Awfully, agreed Pip. But I don't quite see what use it will be to us, Fatty. You never know, said Fatty. One of us might be captured in one mystery we solve, and we might want to get a message to the others. If we wrote it in invisible ink, our enemies wouldn't be able to read the message. Bets thought this sounded rather thrilling, though she didn't very much want to be captured. Then a thought struck her. We'll all have to carry an orange about with us if ever we have enemies, she said. Won't we? We'd better not take very juicy ones, or they'll get squashed. And we'd have to take a pen, said Pip. Well, I shan't bother till we have enemies. I shall, said Fatty seriously. You never know when you might need to write an invisible message. I take tons of things about with me in my pockets, just in case. I might need them. This was quite true. The others were often amazed at the things Fatty carried about with him. As a rule, he had practically anything needed in an emergency, from a lemonade bottle opener to a pocket knife that contained 12 different kinds of tools. My mother goes through my pockets each night and won't let me keep half what I want to, said Pip. My mother never does things like that, said Fatty. She never bothers about my pockets. The others thought that it wasn't only Fatty's pockets his mother didn't bother about. It was Fatty himself. He seemed to come and go as he pleased, missed his meals if he didn't want them, went to bed what time he liked, and did more or less as he wanted to. Fatty, you said you'd show us how to get out of a locked room if the key wasn't on your side, said Betts, suddenly remembering. There's time to do that too, will you? All right, said Fatty. Take me up to one of your box rooms where I shall be out of the way. Lock me up and leave me there. Come down here, and I'll join you in a few minutes. Fibber, said Larry and Pip together. It really did sound quite impossible. Well, try me and see, said Fatty. I don't usually say I can do things if I can't, do I? In excitement, the children took Fatty upstairs to a big box room with bare boards inside it, and on the landing as well. They put him inside, then turned the key in the lock. Larry tried the door. Yes, it was well and truly locked. You're locked in, Fatty, said Pip. We're going down now. If you can get out of here, you're clever. You can't get out of the window. There's a sheer drop to the ground. I'm not going to try the window, said Fatty. I shall walk out of the door. The others went down, feeling rather disbelieving. Fatty surely couldn't be as clever as all that. Why, it would be like magic if he could go through a locked door. Only Betts really believed he could. She sat with her eyes on the playroom door, waiting for him to come. Pip got out the Ludo board. Let's have a game, he said. Old Fatty won't be down for ages, I expect. We shall hear him yelling to be let out in about 10 minutes' time. They set the counters in their places. They found the die and put it in the thrower. Daisy threw first, but before she could move her counter, the door opened, and in walked Fatty, grinning all over his plump face. Golly, how did you do it? Asked Larry in the greatest surprise. I knew you would, squealed Betts. How did you do it? Asked Pip and Daisy, burning with curiosity. Go on, tell us. It's easy, said Fatty, smoothing back his tidy hair. Too easy for words. Don't keep on saying that. Tell us how you did it, said Larry. It's extraordinary. Well, come up and I'll show you, said Fatty. As a matter of fact, it's a thing all detectives ought to jolly well know. Elementary. What's elementary? Asked Betts, climbing the stairs behind Fatty. What I've just said. Too easy for words, said Fatty. Well, here we are. Now, Larry, you lock us all four into the room. Buster too, if you like, or he'll scratch the door down, and then you can all watch what I do. I tell you, it's elementary. The three who were locked in with Fatty watched in excitement. They saw the door shut. They heard Larry turn the key in the lock. They each tried the door. Yes, it was locked all right. "Now watch," said Fatty. He took a folded newspaper from his pocket and unfolded it. He flattened the big, wide double sheet. Then, to the children's surprise, he slid the newspaper under the bottom of the door until only a small piece was left his side. "What have you done that for? That won't open the door," said Betts. Fatty didn't answer. He took a piece of wire from his pocket and inserted it into the keyhole. The key was in the other side, where Larry had left it. Fatty jiggled about with the piece of wire and then suddenly gave a slight push. There was a thud on the other side of the door. "I've pushed the key out," said Fatty. "Did you hear it fall? Well, the rest is easy. It's fallen onto the newspaper outside, and all I have to do is to pull the paper carefully back. Oh, very carefully, and the key will come with it." Holding their breath, the children watched the newspaper being pulled under the door. There was a fair space between door and boards, and the key slid easily under the bottom of the door, appearing inside the room. Fatty took it, slid it into the lock, turned it, and opened the door. "There you are," he said. "Very simple. Too easy for words. How to get out of a locked room in 1 minute. Fatty, it's marvelous. I'd never have thought of that," cried Daisy. "Did you make up the trick yourself?" Much as Fatty liked the others to think he was marvelous, he was too honest not to admit it wasn't really his brainwave. "Well, I read it in one of my spy books," he said, "and I tried it out when I got locked in for a punishment one afternoon last term. It gave the master a turn, I can tell you, seeing me walk past him after he'd locked me up." "It's wonderful," said Betts. "So easy, too. There's only one thing, Fatty, though. It wouldn't work if you were locked up in a room that had a carpet going under the door, because there wouldn't be room to pull in the key." "You're right, Betts. That's a good point," said Fatty. "That's why I wanted to be locked into a box room and not in the playroom downstairs." The others were so thrilled with this new trick that they wanted to try it themselves. "All right," said Fatty. "It will be good practice. You simply never know when you might be locked up somewhere. Each of you do it in turn." So, much to Mrs. Hilton's surprise, the 5 children and Buster spent the whole afternoon apparently doing nothing but walk in and out of the cold box room, to the accompaniment of squeals and giggles. "Jolly good, find-outers," said Fatty, when even Betts could escape from the locked room quite easily. "Jolly good. Now tomorrow I'll go up to London and get some disguises. Look out for some fun the day after." A very queer boy. Next day was Fatty's birthday. He was always sorry it came so near Christmas, because it meant that many people gave him a Christmas and birthday present in one. "It's bad luck, Fatty," said Daisy. "But never mind. We won't do that. We'll give you proper birthday presents as well as Christmas presents." So, early after breakfast, Pip, Betts, Daisy, and Larry walked up to Fatty's house